Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Slick Chick Show.
Welcome. Hi.
Hi, I hope everybody's had a great January so far, getting into 2019. It's been bloody damn cold where we are. But
It's winter in Canada.
it's winter
to
in
be
Canada.
expected.
Right. And so we're so happy for all of you to join us. And we just wanted, before we get into this next episode, wanted to say thank you for all the love over the first 4 episodes. It's
Yes.
been great.
Yes, the reception has been very warm and we're so grateful. So thank you for joining us and participating and engaging.
Yes. And thank you to everybody who reached out over private message, phone
Yes.
calls, everything, like really, really appreciated.
So encouraging
Yes.
to know that we're
So-
being watched and people are intrigued by the conversations we're having. So thank
Right.
you.
And just a quick note before we start into the next one is everybody that you've got any ideas or anything you want talked about, just get in touch, send us
Yes.
a message, and we'll try and cover that as well.
Yes.
So let's dive into this week's
dive in.
episode. We are talking about girlfriends and real
Friendships.
friends and friendships in general.
Yeah.
And this is something Lucy and I have been over a few times about what it means
Yeah.
and what it's all about. And so I wanted to start off with a quote that I was telling you. And so there's this Institute for Women's Health in San Antonio, and they say having girlfriends not only allows us to live a fuller and happier life, it can actually lower blood pressure, risk of depression, and create a sense of well-being.
Yes.
And they define friends as people who look out for you, support us, make us laugh, and push us to be healthier and better.
Right.
And the reason I really like this is that is what a friend is for me.
I agree.
It's the person I can be me with. It's the person that not only is a yes man, but calls out my crap.
Yes.
And I'm not offended by it.
Right.
Like there's no ill intention behind it. I
Right.
know they're doing it for the best of
Right.
my best interest at heart.
Right.
And it's just, that's a friend for me, you know, like I'm able to do that for somebody and they're able to do the same for me.
Right. I've seen my friendships evolve over the years where, those honest conversations do happen and there's an awareness of,
Right.
oh, maybe saying that did offend her. I should ask.
Right.
And so then there's a dialogue of like, am I offending you by saying that or sharing my opinion or giving my perspective?
Right.
As opposed to not acknowledging the potential of the friend being hurt and just having it build up and then ruin the relationship.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
I think for me, it's deeper. So I was reading somewhere, whenever you're going to start a conversation with, I don't mean to offend you, or I hope you don't mind, stop because you were
Right,
going
right.
to offend. But I think when it comes to real, true friendships, what we were talking about in context, you don't need to start your sentences with that.
Right,
line.
not to start the sentence, but to be aware that potentially. I think even you and I have had conversations where you've given me your opinion,
Right.
and then have said in a later text message, "Did I offend you?"
Right.
And I appreciate that because now I'm not left to fester if I was offended,
Right.
and we've cleared the air if I was.
Right. But I think that's the part of being a real, true, honest friendships, right? Is
Right.
having those real, raw conversations, and being strong enough to ask if you've stepped the line, or even say to the other person,
Right.
you've stepped the line,
Right.
and this has hurt me,
Right.
and allow a room for conversation.
Right.
But we were talking girlfriends, right?
Right.
Friendships in general, and we'll get to cross-gender friendships as well. But girlfriends,
Yes.
that's a very interesting conversation. So
Yeah.
growing up, I had a few girlfriends. I wouldn't say I had a lot of girlfriends. I've had more, over my phase of life, I've had more guy friends than girlfriends.
Okay.
I've never been able to maneuver that area up until a lot recently. But I do have key girlfriends that are my best friends.
Right.
And best friends, we'll talk about that traditional
Yes.
idea of best friends, but they sort of make up my tribe, which we've talked about this word. And that gets thrown around a lot. My
And you
tribe,
have-
my
right.
girl tribe, my tribe, my tribe, my tribe.
And you have an interesting perspective on what that word or how you define tribe,
Right.
which is probably different than the way most of us intend it when we say.
So tell me.
I think tribe, the way that we use it in a workspace, in a business perspective, even friendships, is like-mindedness, people that understand you, women or let's use women now since we're talking about girlfriends, that you can engage in conversations with, that understand you. There is no judgment.
So do you think it's somebody that's stemming from the same values, like same ideologies, there's no room for difference, like you're the same? Is that what you think a tribe is?
No, I don't think so.
Right.
But
I don't know. I do feel the word is abused. I feel it's thrown out a lot. Sometimes when I read it in context, sometimes I think, what is that? Like, okay, from a business point of view, with the line of work that I do, there's a lot of talk of my tribe in the coaching industry. This is my tribe, your tribe, and it's your following. It's more of what your followers are, what your clients are referred to as your tribe, right?
Okay.
For me, when it comes to friendships, tribe is more about it's my family, either by blood or by choice. And for me, that comes with good, bad, ugly. So it means the people that are sticking by me through good, bad, ugly, but there's fights, there's love, there's moments and phases of not talking to each other. I would say for me, maybe it goes back to then the village definition of a tribe. Like,
Yes.
That's what it is. You're in the same space emotionally, mentally, but there's also room for fighting, not getting along. But at the end of the day, come what may, you've got each other.
Right.
That for me is tribe. So I wouldn't refer to my clients as my tribe or my people even. Do you know what I mean? And that's sort of a lot of the context I see it in now with social media and all of that sort of thing. It's a following. It's a mass group. And for me, tribe is small. It does not equal big. My tribe's very small.
Okay.
And I'm very, very, very particular about who gets into my tribe. It's not an open for all.
Okay. That's interesting.
So that's for me tribe. And so when I see it in context, and I get it, it's not that I don't get how people use it, but for me it is. And it could be the same for other people out there. I'm not being generic about it. But it's a small thing for me.
That's
Tribe's
interesting.
not big.
I wonder if that, there's that underlying idealism of tribe, and then we've exaggerated it, right? Because I think, for example, if we're taking it in a business context, you go to a networking event and the whole event is a tribe, i.e. women with like minds, building businesses, connecting and wanting to support one another. And then within that, you connect with certain people who become your tribe, whether it's a coach, a mentor, someone in the same line of business.
Right, but then that's not really friendships, right? Like, how do you draw the line?
It's a business tribe.
Right, but then that's not the friendship.
Tribe, right.
But I also think, and we're going to talk about this, we're going to do an episode on this later, but the whole idea of social media and that, and how that brings what that's done for friendships.
Right.
But I really think, for me, friendships, it's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Right.
And oftentimes growing up and everything, you get in the rat race of how popular you are, how many friends you have. But that's never been indicative for me.
Right.
It's not a factor for me.
Right.
I couldn't care less. I'm happy with my little friends that I have. That when I say friends, I mean I have acquaintances and then friends, but the people that I let into my circle, my tribe, if you like, very far and in between.
Right.
And if I do that, it's the quality of the friendship versus the quantity.
Right.
I don't need to be out with a group of 10 people.
Right.
I'd rather be out with one or two people, right?
Same.
So that's the difference. But for me, it also comes down to the conversations we were having when we decided to talk about girlfriends, real friends. Friends for me it's honest friendships.
Yes.
And for me, it's really important, and all of my people that are my tribe out there watching this will know, low maintenance. I can't handle high maintenance friendships. Like the moment I whiff out that it's high maintenance for me, I'm out.
What would you consider high maintenance?
So, okay,
It's an
I'm
interesting
terrible.
way to
I
describe it.
know, so I'm self-aware. I'm terrible at keeping in touch or initiating contact.
Right.
I'm moody. I'm severely moody. So if I'm in the mood, I'm chatty catty.
Right.
Like, I'm like right there and I'm like, da, 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 and then I want all the attention. Like,
Right.
talk to me now. And then there are days when I'm like, don't freaking talk to me.
Right.
And my people get that.
Right.
They've learned to deal with it.
Right.
And so for me, high maintenance is when I'm non-responsive and people assume that's a problem, or then I have to now start justifying my non-responsiveness. To me, that's high maintenance, because I'm like, I don't. Like, I'm moody. you know, you should know this about me.
I think there's a difference though, because I've always looked at friendships in terms of your presence in my life, and not physical presence.
Right.
Just the knowingness. So, you know, if you are moody, but I reach out, there's a response.
Yes.
And it's
absolutely.
not like we don't vanish from each other's lives, and I guess there are friendships like that where you vanish for 6 months, a year, and when you connect, it's like not a day had passed.
Yes.
But are all friendships capable of doing that? Like, or things get lost in translation or silence. And it doesn't necessarily make them high maintenance. It just makes them a different friendship.
I think I get what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I get your context. But for me, it's one of those things. If you need me, irrespective, I'm there.
Right.
But if you're going to text me, and I'm about something frivolous and I'm not in the mood.
Right.
For me, high maintenance is now me having to explain, and you know, I have a code word with my friends, like, not now.
Right.
And that's like indicative of, okay, she's not in the zone to have this conversation right now. And I will later on reach out and say, okay, I'm there now. Let's talk. But if it's an emergency, it's a life-changing thing.
Right.
Or you're having a moment that's important to you, it might not be to me.
Right.
I'll be there.
Right.
But also, when you were talking, I realized I mean formality too when I say low maintenance. I'm not a formal person in my personal space.
Would never guess that.
So I'm not hung up on birthdays. You know, I remember them. Don't get me wrong. I have dates and I will reach out. But formalities like bringing wine over to your house every time I come, or you know, like shit like that. Like
I've yet to get a bottle of wine.
Yeah, I don't.
But I've not brought her any either, so we're even.
Yeah, but I don't get hung up on that.
Right.
That's not it. And I don't get hung up on stuff like, so if I'm out with you today and having a good time and it's posted in social media, or I call a friend drunk and say, oh, I'm with so-and-so and I'm having a great time, I don't expect that person to get into a tizzy about it. I'm not going to get into tizzy if you're having fun with somebody else, right? Because you have other people in your tribe doesn't mean, like, that for all of that's low maintenance for me.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I don't have space for that.
Right.
I'm not wired like that.
Right.
I'm not wired to, in the sense, like low maintenance. Like if we're going clubbing, for instance, with my friends, and everybody's dressed to the T, you know, it's common. Everyone's but I want to show up in track pants and a shirt. I want to hear from you people, my people, that I need to dress up. Let me be and let me go. And it's not an issue.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. It's the little things for me.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But you wanted to talk about cattiness and empowerment.
I think that's the other side of that, right? Because it's an unspoken reality that there are women that, as much as we're supportive, we're also catty. Mm-hmm. And I mean, reality TV is a perfect example of female cattiness. Like, watch an episode of The Bachelor or Real Housewives of something. Catch a clip of it. Don't even like torture yourself with the whole episode. And it's a perfect example of what cattiness is.
Yeah.
And so
it's a fine line.
It's a fine line. And where do you think that stems from?
So I think if we look at it historically, right, women were always pitted against each other. So let's just go back really archaic, back in time, right? Like not where we are now, evolved with the role of women in the world today, but back. They were pitted against suitors, right? So it was, for instance, let's go back and there's a king picking his queen or whatever, and there's a line of them. They're in competition of each other.
Fair enough.
Right? And I think it's as basic and archaic as that, and now it's translated into business competition, friendship competition, whatever.
Right. And here we are in 2019, watching episodes of The Bachelor, which is one man picking amongst 25 women. Yeah. So not so archaic.
And not so evolved, right? Which is sad,
very.
Right? Like there's, but I think that's where it stems from, that competition, right? Comes from that mentality,
right,
if you like. And it's not to say, I mean, I've got great girlfriends now.
For sure.
And we're not at all in that competition zone. Like, it's not even a freaking damn thing that happens in a conversation.
Right.
But there are times when I'm out with my girl gang and there's another girl gang. And, you know, it's rivalry, right? Like immediate.
Yeah. The claws come up.
Yeah, and it's territorial, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting why that, it's almost that survival of the fittest instinct that maybe kicks in. You know, there's popularity contests, etc., but I think it's so deeply engraved and conditioned.
Exactly. I think it has more to do with insecurity and or defensiveness, having to defend your uniqueness or your choices or the way your body is. Like, there's a constant wall that we build because we need to defend something.
Right. I like that. Insecurity is a huge one. I mean, amongst women, it's insecurity, but it stems from the media.
Which is a whole other conversation.
Yeah, it's a whole other episode that we could do on. But how much of the media pits us against each other, right? There's the ideal, I mean, we'll talk about body image to another episode. The ideal body image, the ideal fashion sense, the ideal blah, blah, blah.
The definition of success.
But even friendships. Yeah. You were talking about the show that...
Oh, for me, as I've aged, I've redefined what friendship looks like.
Right.
Sex in the City, if any woman who's watching has caught a few episodes, there is a bond amongst those four. But what I love about them is they're four completely different types of women.
Right.
Someone's very traditional, someone's very conservative, someone's very business oriented, someone is very promiscuous, but they come together and have brunch and they engage in conversations and they antagonize each other about their opinions and their choices and what they did and I love it because it's non-judgmental and because they show up for each other when it really matters, and they have fought and gone days without speaking, and I get that it's a TV show, but I'm talking about the emotional core of that relationship. I think it's beautiful. And as I've aged, I've realized that not one friend can encapsulate everything that I'm looking for.
Right.
Which is why I have since struggled with the word best friend.
Right.
Because in my 40s, I don't know that I have one BFF.
Right.
I think I have several because they fit different profiles and roles of what I need in a woman friendship.
And we had this conversation not too long ago, in fact just before I went on my trip, right? And I said I have what we ideally call best friends for different phases of my life. And phases is maybe not, but different aspects of my life.
Yes.
They fill in different roles. I go to different people for different times that I need. My sisters. I've got
lifelines.
2 blood sisters and 2 cousins. Lifelines. They're my go-to people for
Absolutely.
when I need somebody to bring me down to earth. That's the space I go. And there's brutal honesty. And you know what? When they're honest, we don't freaking talk for weeks.
Yeah.
How
many times have I hung up on my sister? Yeah.
But you're right. Absolutely. Yeah. That ideology of the one BFF is not sustainable, and it's not. And I think allowing that space for you to have other relationships, other friendships, only makes you a better friend.
It's a good word to say it's not sustainable because it really releases the pressure of, oh my gosh, I need to be this person for you and this person. I need to be the person you socialize with and the person you go out for brunch with and the person you hang out with because you're single. And that's just a lot. There's
Yeah.
just a lot of pressure there.
Right.
Right? As opposed to, I'm just this, like, this is who I am.
Right. I also, before we end, and it's gotten longer than we anticipated, but cross-gender friendships.
Can men and women be friends?
The age-old question. What do you think?
Well, you know, I think I have male friends in my life.
Right.
And it's not a new experience,
Right.
but it's an evolved experience. I think when I was younger, it was, you know, male friends, you know, would lead to something. Somebody had a crush on somebody.
Right.
But since, like, over the years,
Right.
they just play a different role.
Right.
And I appreciate.
Yeah. I think when you're younger, right, and it's about that phase where you're still finding yourself. You're still
Exactly.
going through who do I like? What's my person? What's
Right.
the person I'm attracted
Exactly.
to? Sometimes the lines get blurred because friendships, you know, sometimes somebody's there for you or you're there for somebody and it's mistook for something else. But absolutely, I think as you age, there's space for different
Right.
friendships,
Right.
irrespective of gender.
Right.
You know, some of my best friends are men.
Yeah.
And we coexist fine. They're married, I'm married. You know, like we have our relationships. There have been moments too when we've had either of our partners insecure about the friendship. But I don't really think that age-old thing.
Adage of.
Yeah. I think when you're younger, yes. Not as you evolve, or hopefully as you get
Right.
older, it doesn't become a factor.
And maybe it's
and I
different.
think sometimes it's really nice to have another perspective,
Right.
right?
Right.
That's not of your gender,
Right. Right.
right? Both ways.
Agreed.
Emotional intelligences are different. Everything is so different,
Agreed.
right?
Yeah.
But we're running out of time.
We are.
So,
To be continued, because I think
like
we'll
every episode.
we'll pick up, you know, a nugget and
Yeah.
you know, air another episode. But we're so glad that this sort of went on as long as it did.
Right.
I'm sure we
But
touched on a
please
lot of
chime
things.
in, comment
Yeah.
at the bottom, send us an email, send us a message. Tell us what your thoughts are, and we've left it at a really opening space.
We have.
Let's ask you: do you think men and women can have platonic friendships?
Yeah.
And without either being gay.
Right.
Because that's
those are
the other
good too.
thing.
Right.
No,
And
that's
I have
good
those
too.
too.
But I mean heterosexual
Yes.
friendships without
Yeah.
anything to
Yeah.
it. Let's have this conversation. Give us your thoughts. Shout out to our sponsors, Glam Jewels, for our beautiful jewelry.
Yes, great company.
Qua for our lip tints, which is so great in the winter, must I tell you. I walked in with my lips just,
Yeah.
and they're just
Have
great.
saved me. Yeah.
And the shea butter is so awesome. My hands have been peeling in this bloody
Yes.
cold, so it's been awesome.
Yes. Thanks to Authentic Factor for sponsoring.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The days, the events. So yeah.
So-
Thank you for chiming in. We're so glad you're here with us, and stay tuned. We'll see you next week for another episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye.